Have you ever looked at these Mill Hill kits and thought they look really cute, but probably are pretty hard to stitch because of the perforated paper and all the beading? Well, I used to think so too, but I'm going to show you some tips and tricks today to show you just how easy they are to stitch and finish. Welcome back to 123stitch.com. Before we get started, please click on that subscribe button down below so you don't miss out on anything. And everything I mentioned today will be listed as a link in the description below. The kits generally come in two different sizes, a larger framed piece or a smaller magnet or ornament size. For the larger piece, it comes with a piece of perforated paper, the floss, the beads, and usually a button. In this case, it came with a ceramic button, but the newer ones are coming out with clay buttons from just another button company. Once you finish beading, stitching, you're ready to frame it. Mill Hill suggests a frame to use in their kits. This frame is also by Mill Hill. All you do is pop the perforated paper in it, finish off the back with the included piece of cardboard that you tape down inside there. And then the frame itself comes with a dowel that you can use to stand up your design. There's also a hole at the top if you choose to hang it. That's it. It's done. You're all framed. No lacing, no mounting it. It's just ready to go, which is a really nice thing about these kits. The smaller kits can be finished as a magnet or an ornament. They usually come with a magnet. After you put the backing on, you just glue the magnet on and it's done. I like to display them on a decorative metallic piece like this one. And then if I'm finishing as an ornament, you just put a hanger on it, a backing, and it's done. I have a lot of these. They're super cute. These are a lot of fun to stitch, and I'm going to show you everything there is to know about them. Okay, let's look at a Mill Hill kit. This one is Christmas Cactus. It's a cute little holiday design. And when you open it up, you get some very good directions, which I highly recommend reading all the way through. It's very detailed. You get your floss. You get usually 2 bead packets, with one of them having a cross-stitch needle, beading needle, and a magnet. You get a treasure most of the time, and then you get a piece of perforated paper. The perforated paper has 2 sides. Generally, the colored side is going to be the front side. And my first tip would be to always start in the center. You don't get a lot of extra paper around the edges, so you want to make sure to start in the center so that you don't run out of room. And the way I find the center is I just take a ruler and I draw 2 diagonal lines, one this way and then one this way. And where they intersect is where the center is. And of course, you're going to want to look at your orientation. Is it vertical or horizontal design? The paper itself is pretty lightweight. You're going to have to hold it in hand. You can't use a frame on it, but it's easy to stitch on. You don't want to pull your stitches super, super hard because you don't want to rip the paper. It's not that easy to rip, but something to be aware of. The next thing I want to look at is the floss. Everybody's favorite part about a kit is all the unsorted floss. I have found that it's not as bad as we make it out to be. You just look at the chart and you can see what your colors are. It'll have the DMC number for it, and it'll have number in parentheses if there's more than one strand of that color. So what I do is I pull out the obvious colors. So there's 1 white, there's 1 blue, 2 strands of the blue, there's 1 black, and now I am left with 2 reds, 3 greens, and 2 tans. Let's look at the greens. Let's pull my green threads out and separate into colors. I can see I have 3 separate colors here. This one's darkest, so it's probably the dark green. And then I've got 2 other colors. One needs to be a light green and one a medium green. And if I look at the colors themselves, I can tell one's darker than the other. So this is probably light, this is probably medium. But I can also look at the parentheses after, and the light green says I have 3 strands, whereas green only has 1. And then the way I like to store them is just in these little baggies. There's little 2x3 baggies, and I will actually write the symbol on the outside so it's easy to find the floss when I'm ready to stitch. So we've sorted our floss. We found the center of our design. Now, according to the instructions, we're going to do all the cross stitching, all the back stitching before we even look at beading. One thing I want to point out that I discovered after doing way too many kits was that the beads are the symbols all some version of a circle. The regular floss are way different. So anything that's a circle, when you're doing the cross stitch portion, you just ignore that portion and you stitch over it. You don't have to worry about finding where the beads are. You can just skip over that part of it and just concentrate on these. Okay, you have cross stitched your whole design, and now you need to do the beading. So the first step is to use one of these. I wouldn't do a mill hill kit without one of these. You may find something that works better for you, but this is a great way to sort and hold your beads. This is called a Tacky Bill. It's a plastic case. When you open it up, it's two-sided with sticky stuff on each side. What I do is I open my 2 bead packets, pour them in, press them down and move them around a little bit. Now they're in place and they're going to stay there until I'm ready to pick them up and bead. It's also going to keep them sorted because the beads are indeed sorted. You can tell from your color key, there's an asterisk next to the ones that are in the same bag. So in this case, the yellow, the brilliant shamrock, and the oriental red are all on one side and everything else is on this other side. There's 2 sizes. There's a regular size seed bead and there's a teeny tiny petite seed bead. They are both attached to your cross stitch differently. The regular size seed bead is attached with a half cross stitch, and the petite needle, the petite bead is attached with a full size cross stitch. And there are diagrams and instructions in your kit that show you exactly how to do that. I have a kit over here that I've started. This is my cute little llama. I've done all the cross stitch on it, and here are my beads. I have my beading needle. I want to show you how easy it is to pick these up. Before I go there though, let me tell you, this little beading needle has the tiniest little eye ever. So I highly recommend some sort of needle threader. There's one by Mill Hill. There's one by Clover. Cute ones by My Big Toe. The one I've been using lately is this Roxanne needle threader. I really like this a lot. The beading is supposed to be done with 2 strands. So using a beading needle helps a lot. I usually just do 1 strand at a time and then double it up. So let me first show you how you pick up the beads and how easy it is to attach them. I'm going to bring my needle up in the lower left of the square. I'm going to pick up my petite seed bead over here and just stick it in there and it comes right up. I'm going to go down in the upper right hand corner. Since this is a petite bead, I'm going to have to do a full cross stitch. So I'm going to go in the lower right hand corner, take my needle through the bead, which is easy to do because it's facing the right direction, and then down in the upper left. And that's all there is to doing a petite seed bead. And now I'm going to go out here on this side and just do a full size seed bead just so you can see what that looks like. I'm going to pick up a larger seed bead here and just go down in the upper right of the square, and that is done. That's all there is to attaching the beads. Make sure you do your cross stitches the same way each time, just like you would with stitching, and you'll be set. So once we've done all of the stitching and all of the beading, we're going to end up with something that looks like this. This is called my ugly Christmas sweater, which I think is adorable. I love that little treasure on the nose. Now that comes the scary part. You have to cut it out. It's really not that scary, but the first time you do it, just go slow, take it easy, and it won't be a big deal. This one's not too bad because it's got a lot of straight lines. Some of them are really, really harder to do, but just take your time with it. Let me show you how to do that. Okay, I've got my finished cross stitch, I've got my sharp scissors, and I'm going to go ahead and cut. If you can see, there's a line of holes and then there's a line of the solid. What you want to do is to cut through the holes and leave that one line of solid, that one solid line there. You can always go back and trim closer later on. So to be safe, just go a little farther out if you need to. And just go slow. And we will be finishing off the back with some felt that will seal everything, including sealing the openings here. So sometimes I like to cut away some extra just to get it out of my way. And then we're just going to go all the way around the design and cut it out. The next thing you'll have to decide once we're done here is, am I going to make this a magnet or am I going to make it into an ornament? If you're going to make it into a magnet, then all you need to do is put a backing on it and then glue the magnet on the back side. And that magnet did come with it in case you want to use that. If you want to do an ornament, then before we put the backing on, we need to figure out what kind of hanger we're going to use. And I'm going to show you there's a few different things that you can do. Let's get this one last little piece here. There you go, all cut out. That wasn't too bad. I want to trim a tiny bit up here. There we go. Okay, so now that we've done that, we need to figure out what kind of hanger we want to put on it. Okay, here's some different examples of how to finish your design. You can do it as a magnet, or here's some different hangers if we want to do an ornament. This one is just 6-strand floss. This one is some satin ribbon. And then this one is beaded. And to do the beading, you just take a double strand of whatever color floss you want, bring it up through the top center, load it up with beads. Usually there's a lot of beads left over in your kit, so you can mix and match colors, try to do all one color. Make it as long as you want, and then just bring the needle back in to the back side right next to the start, and you've got a hanger. Whichever method you choose, I usually do, I'm going to do some cording on this one. What I usually do is figure out what size I want and then attach it to the back side before I put a backing on. And I will just glue it in place, let it sit even overnight if you have to make sure it's in place good. And then after it's in place, I will bring it to the front, move it out of the way so I can put my felt backing on. Now the kit will tell you to put this on top of your felt and then trace around it and then cut out the felt piece. I've never had much success with that. I think I can't trace it close enough. It just doesn't seem to work well for me. So what I like to do is take a piece of felt that's bigger and then just glue the whole thing on, keeping that hanger out of the way, glue the whole thing on, let it sit overnight. If you can, put a book or two on top of it. It wouldn't, not possible with this treasure here, but let it sit a long time so it's nice and tight. And then you get something like this. And then you can go ahead with your scissors and start cutting around. It's nice and attached, the hanger's out of the way, and now I can just cut around the design, especially something like this that's a little more intricate. I find it easier to cut the felt afterwards. And you just want to make sure on the top that you don't cut your hanger off. Let's get that piece out of there. And just go all the way around until your ornament's done. And then you've got your hanger on, you've got your backing, it's all done. Not too hard. So that's it. What do you think? Are you ready to stitch your Mill Hill kit? I think you should. They're a lot of fun. Let us know in the comment section below. I love to hear from you. And please don't forget to subscribe to the channel because we don't want you to miss out on anything. Thanks for visiting with us today, and we'll see you again soon.